Omadid, and welcome to this Thursday stream of Las Plumas de Simur. My name is Plumas, and I'm going to be your companion and narrator for the rest of the evening, an evening that is so promising. Although, I must confess that I didn't remember how promising it was until, let's just say, like a minute, maybe 3 minutes ago, and I will explain to you why. Because if you enjoy something more than listening to me blabber about my love for the Book of Kings and all things Persianate based, it's listening to me ramble on my own stupidity. And I am here, who am I to deny for you what's rightfully yours, which is the share of my stupidity. Hello, Klein, how are you, Azizam? Are you good? How's everyone doing? As I was saying, I have such an important and prominent mesopoturra for today. However, I was getting everything ready for starting the stream and stuff. I normally leave myself things prepare beforehand. Whenever I finish a stream, I will put things. I would just make things ready for the next one because future Plumas really appreciates the effort. Yet I was sitting here and I was making sure everything was right, and completely in an autopilot mood I entered. I opened the live stream, and as Colonial Thesis was playing, we were ready. Mind you, this was like now. I went on the internet and I clicked on my markers and I opened the Book of Kings because I was convinced that it just went to read the Book of Kings. And then I was cooling down thinking, oh, what was it? Where did we leave? What was it? Where left? Where is the spot? Here's my mark. And then I went onto Twitch to check something else. And in the description of the stream, I read Enheduanna. And then I paused for a minute. And like, what? What do you mean Enheduanna? Isn't today a Shahnameh reading aloud day? It's a why? And then I checked the calendar and I checked the stars and then I checked with the jinn, and exactly, it is Thursday and I am to talk about Otherness, rhetorics, and Enheduanna. I'm not supposed to be reading the Book of Kings to you. At least not today. I went straight for it. It didn't even like click in my head that perhaps it was not Monday. Which, on the other hand, thankfully, it is not Monday because it's been a week. The week has been a thing, una cosa. And yeah, I thought it was quite amusing, at least to me. Yeah, she could perfectly do a cameo, and although she would have things to say, that's a lot. She would have a lot of things to say about the Shahnameh and the characters and the she booms that go on and about in the Shahnameh, because well, you know why. I'm not going to explain to you what the Shahnameh is and how the book is like, because if you're here today with me, that means you know. But yeah, here we are. Not to read the Shahnameh, but to talk about Enheduanna, because today we are delving into the beautiful world of the mesopoturra, which is a word that you guys are learning. The other day I was considering that perhaps I was overdoing this Spanish speaking English thing, because I don't do that much the other way around. I don't insert English words that much when I'm talking in Spanish. But then, upon some reflection, I thought, screw it. I mean, I am a native speaker of Spanish, and some things are better said in Spanish. And this is an educational channel. And I speak Spanish, carajo. So it was just, nay, I'm not, unless you tell me you grow tired of it, I'm not going to stop inserting Spanish words in my speech, because that's the person I am. I'm not bilingual. I will die on this hill of me not being bilingual. I speak English and I'm very fluent in it, but I'm not bilingual. Thus, I will continue to speak in Espanol and to teach you words in Spanish, such as turra. Turra is spelled, if you're interested, which I know Humberto is, Turra. Turra normally would mean something distasteful. Something, I'm going to look at the dictionary to check in the Collins dictionary. Turra. Oh God. Okay, that word, the true meaning of turra, I cannot say. But let's just. Turra makes me want to run. Humberto, you are a pan de Dios. You are a creature of light that must be protected. Keep that innocence, because turra, apparently, it's a synonym of someone being very promiscuous. I didn't know this. That is definitely not how turra mesapaturra. That is definitely not what we use it for. Okay, so a turra is a speech that someone would bestow upon you without you having asked for it, and in such a adamant, intense manner that leaves you exhausted. For example, the turra that someone gives about something they're passionate. It could be a nice turra like that. Any sports, any series, any books, any films, any food, but also turra is someone being quite verbose and non-stopping, constantly overwhelming you with the same topic over and over. For example, you should go to the gym, you should study more, whatever, you should be nicer to this person that you really don't like, and non-stop. That is no para. And that is a turra. And that leaves you exhausted. However, in this very beautiful world of 2024, in which we are appropriating words and reversing them, because I can't speak English to save my life, I'd like to empower that word in the most positive way possible. And for me, adding mesopoturra or persoturra, that means exactly like that. I am adamant, if anything, about the things that I enjoy, but so are you. That you choose willingly to be here with me because you enjoy the mesopoturra. And salam, Serapis. Hello, Waxon, haven't seen you there. So, Captain, ¿cómo estás? And that is the mesopoturra. Focus, cariño, as did them. Hun. And I swear, look at this. Look at this crease. Unforgivable. There you go. You guys love the Mesopotamia. I don't know how to say that. I have a lot of problems here with a green screen. There you go. That's a love. Kind of. Thankfully, you cannot see what I'm seeing. I mean, you see the beautiful blue sky. But yeah, turra nowadays could be good or bad. A warm hot in space. I am matching. This is not mine, by the way. Can you tell? And I am matching the back. I think. Let me. Yeah, kind of. I am like this shade of blue. That one over there, or like that one over there. Ish. So yeah, that is a turra. Also, I have like 2 things to share with you. Who in this stream loves reading fiction? Because maybe you're not interested because you're not into books as much as I am, which is perfectly fine though. I don't believe that a person that does not read is less educated. You can consume your content in a myriad of ways nowadays. So, yeah. So, who likes to read? That is the first thing. The second thing, this tea. My goodness, this tea is black tea, green tea, orange zest, and pepper, black pepper. And it's so unhingedly better. I'm enjoying every sip. Imagine reading in 2024, says Sagismundo. I do read. Gary! How are you here? I'm sorry. What are you doing here? Why are you here? Hi. Oh my god. So Gary Atkham is an old friend of a friend, but he knows me from another section of life, we will say. So, yes, you are. Oh, thank you, Gary. It was about damn time that you personated yourself here. So, why is that, Waxen? You found a tea that says Persia. Oh, interesting. And it has black tea, mango, and peach. Do you approve? I approve enormously because I love me mangoes. Yet I don't know if they are found in Iran. I mean, I'm pretty sure, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure it's delicious. But Persia with mango and peaches. Peaches. So I'm digressing so much, and the stream is so bloody long, but I don't care. And I approve. Go for it. So if you like reading as much as I do, I found this book. Can you recognize something in here? Is anything in the cover of this book that sounds mildly familiar to your eyes? Allow me to put it like in front. Oh yeah? I might be pointing at it with my finger. Look at that. It's bloody Persepolis. It's God bless Takhta Jamshid. I have no idea what this book is about. Zero negative amounts of idea. But I had to buy it because I am like that. And I'm going to read it, I will call this the little summary of the story. I knew this word. How is it? The blurb. Do you call it blurb? Seriously, Umberto. Non sei bugiardo tu. Don't lie to me. Yes, you shouldn't judge it by his cover because your loco is writing this, the Shahnameh in the 100 Advices. But I just want to read to you what this is about. And if I like it, I'll for sure recommend it, like over on Discord perhaps. It says, well, the author is Mahdiz Marzoughian, and the book is titled Death Has None, which is beautiful, if you ask me. And then it says, when an unspeakable tragedy rocks the Nizami family, good, Nizami family, we're good in here. 15-year-old Cyrus finds himself on the verge of losing everything he ever loved. His father, Sohrab, reassures him that once he hears the stories about his namesake and the first ruler of the Persian Empire, Cyrus the Great, everything will make more sense. But as everything comes crashing down, Cyrus begins to lose faith. In this story of cultural duality and the significance of reputation, loyalty, family bonds, and the values they install in you, even the oldest, most unlikely stories can parallel your own, teach invaluable lessons, and end up saving you. I am a tad excited. I mean, I have to finish 2 books before getting my hands into this. My eyes more than my hands. But I'm very excited. I don't know. And yeah, I'll tell you about it. I thought some of you might be interested in the actual shebang of it. And that's it. Now now we are diving into the Mesopoturra, I promise, because the stream I have for you today, once I remembered I had that is a very special one and is very interesting. And I think if you are into historiography and the way we recreate and reconstruct history from the present to the past, I think you might enjoy this one because it's not exactly as one would. It's not exactly as one would think it is. So here we have her, the protagonist of our evening, Priestess Enheduanna. Enheduanna is the central figure that is wearing this long ankle-length dress called the kaunakes. And yes, Pichu, you ought to play the drinking game. And if you don't know what drinking game is, worry not, my dear vizier, my dear captain, and my dear scribe, recently appointed scribe, they will make you catch up quite soon, because yes, that's the reason. Why do you think I have my tea here with me, Pichu? I know what's coming. So yes, we are playing this one with the drinking game. I was saying that Enheduanna is the central figure with the kaunakes, that is the ankle length dress in the center. And if you see that the two final rows do not have these spearhead slash leaf slash what's the name of it? Feather. I just forgot how to say my own name in English. It is because the breast is reconstructed and they wanted to signal it that not all the pieces are original. So I was saying that I am quite thrilled and about this stream, although I was having mixed feelings about it. Let me tell you why. There is out there, out of the calculus of my own head, 326,472 different videos, articles, books, and mixed media about Enheduanna's life. And that verbosity aside, what I mean is that there is plenty of content for you to consume of very high quality, I must say, regarding the daughter of Sargon of Akkad. And I just did not want to be one more of the biographies out there. Not that there is anything wrong with them. It's just I wanted to offer you something else. I wanted to present to you something nuanced, particular, interesting, and concrete in this sea of information that we have and we navigate regarding such an important historical figure as is Enheduanna. And while diving in said sea of information, I found a chapter of a book that fascinated me about Enheduanna, poetry, rhetoric, and the conception of self and otherness. And then I just knew I had it. I found exactly what I was looking for, and I've learned so much over the course of creating this stream. So bloody much, and I love it, because it's not that I didn't know Enheduanna, yet it was a very distant figure to me, because I knew the basics, you could say, but I never imagined, because I never dedicated the time to study what she did, I never imagined this would be such an important cultural legacy and such a relevant person for the historical discourse and many other topics that we will discuss in the coming hour or so, I will try my best to, giddy up and not linger too much in here. And today's stream is going to be perhaps a bit more dense. I am hoping that it won't be as convoluted as I'm anticipating, but of course, I always tell you that you can feel confident enough in interrupting me or in posting your questions on the chat, because that is why I'm here, to try and answer them. And if I don't have the answer, which might be the case potentially, to direct you towards a possible way on recovering said answer. So please, make all the questions you'd like. Tell me to repeat things that you didn't quite get, because I also fail in explaining myself a notable amount of times, and there's nothing wrong with it. I might not pause immediately to answer your question, but of course I read it, and I will discuss it. I will approach it one time or the other. I will. And sorry, the gin I live with distracted me. Oh, by the way, the book I was mentioning, shall any of you be interested, is called Rhetoric, Before and Beyond the Greeks, and it's edited by Carol Lipson and Roberta Binkley, published in 2004, and it contains also chapters devoted to Egypt and China, the latter being what caught my eye while I was, going over my sources. So I'll do my best to chat a bit with you, particularly about how otherness and self-consciousness, also known in this space as, say it with me, self-defining narrative, work in the writings of none other than Princess Enheduanna herself. But first, as always, context. And for context, we need, although I need, well, excuse me for a moment. I need to show you. Also, I realized that because Streamlabs is doing crazy stuff, I need to shut up while I'm changing the image, because if not, the audio will cut. I'm not a hobby bunny about it, so I am going to change now. Ta-da! Hopefully that will do good. Who is Enheduanna? Enheduanna was the daughter of Sargon of Akkad, over here, who reigned between 2334 and 2279 before Common Era, and she was an Entu priestess. It's ridiculous how the two words sound similar to my Spanish ears. Priestess and princess. Am I the only one who sees that? And your boy, and here we have it. Thank you, Pichu. More fuel for the Mesa Futura. Aww. You are the best. Thank you so much, Pichu. Thank you so much. Oh, Captain, my Captain. So yeah, your boy, Sargon, is the father of Priestess Enheduanna. And I was saying she was an Entu priestess, meaning a high priestess of Nanna, the god of the moon. And she lived in the city of Ur, which, by the way, you would need context for. And I have a map. Of course I do have a map. And why do I have a map? I have a map because I do believe in context. And I've also told you, I'm going to change. Good. I've mentioned multiple times of the importance of maps, not only to learn the political borders of the cultural hubs that might be in the focus of our study, but also to learn about the geography, because a lot of things can be extracted from observing the landscape. And this over there is the Akkadian Empire, or what we now know as the Akkadian Empire. The real empire, though, the territories truly dominated by the Akkadians, those in this darker shade of orange, and the striped parts are regions of Akkadian campaigns and conquest, yet not that much included in the political immediates of Akkad, if that makes any sense. And now we zoom and we find Ur. And the city of Ur is... the city of Ur is no more. No more. Ha! The city of Ur is down there by the coast of the Persian... Yeah, Ur has fallen yet again. What's the relation of Akkadian to Sumer? Do you mean the language, Uloko? As Akkadian to Sumerian? Because I'm not a linguist, but apparently they are similar in the sense that both of Semitic origin. If anyone in the chat knows the answer, please go ahead. Oh, the empire. So Sumer is a place and Akkad is also a place. Sumer is a region and Akkad is a city. And you can see how far they are apart because Akkad is in the north, up just in the very upper corner of the image. And Sumer is the land. Sumer would be like the niche Mesopotamia, be like the true land between the two rivers is Sumer, like that area surrounding the Tigris and Euphrates, that is Sumer. And then on the mountains far north you have Akkad, and way norther than that you have Serapis. And way northern than that you have Ashur, which will become eventually Assyria. And Sumer is a civilization, was a cultural hub and civilization with multiple dynasties and multiple political entities. But then one morning, Sargon awoke and he thought, hey, I fancy myself an empire. What you reckon? He told his troops. And ta-da! Something happened along the way. And but today I can talk about Sargon in some other occasion, and I can talk about Akkad in much more a political and cultural entity in some other time. But for today, I really want us to focus on Enheduanna because I feel that even I wouldn't dare say that she is foreshadow in any capacity because she is massively famous. But sometimes we get carried away with these political issues and we are not focusing really on what we want in here. I'm not watching the Avatar yet, so no spoilers. I beg you, please, Bebachit, not Bebachit, Lutfan, please, no spoilers. Serapis que te estoy viendo. And I want to talk about her. And Salo Eddie, you made it. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. How are you? Let's do like a quick recap and remember what we said. We have Enheduanna, daughter of Sargon, and priestess of Nanna at the city of Ur. I said she lived there. However, she was not a native to the city, and according to the latest investigations, Sargon appointed Enheduanna as the Entu, remember, high priestess of the city, to build and strengthen the relationship between the locals, given how he had very recently risen to power and established what we afterwards would label as the Akkadian civilization. And the intentions behind Enheduanna's establishment in the city of Ur were to establish a relationship and ease the shift from the Sumerian local religion and Sargon's new faith, the Akkadian worship of the deities. Nanna, the moon god, was of the utmost importance for Sumerians, and the intentional creation of a new religious syncretism was made flesh in the figure of Enheduanna. And this role was not merely performative. Nay, being the high priestess of Nanna would have given Enheduanna divine authority and power, since She would be considered the embodiment of Nana's spouse, the goddess Ningal. We should talk about that in some other time, the divine spouses and all that jazz, because the topic is just fantastic. But for today, I'm going to make a real effort in just focusing on Enheduanna. Why is that, Segismundo? I don't know why Sargon, he says, did that, but I bet books some years ago would claim demographic pressure and current one climatic changes. To be completely fair, it's not that I believe Sargon did this just because he fancied, but there's a key element to that. He did this because he could. He had the strength, he had the military support of the troops, he had the money, meaning economical power, to overcome the Sumerian local rulers, and he wanted to. I really don't think that anyone would put a dagger to Sargon's throat and threaten him to either conquer Sumer or to die. And, sometimes we forget that we humans are humans, and humans are too human. And that's it. And let's just bring Enheduanna back for a moment. Oh, I'm going to... There you go. This is Ur-Nasirija, meaning the remains of the ziggurat of Ur. It is heavily reconstructed, and its archaeological state is poor, and poor is being benevolent with the current situation because hello, no soy Ross. Oh, you're gonna be absent. That is okay. You can always rewatch this. We love you, we treasure you, and we hope you have a very good evening. And we will talk later, as we have things to discuss, and we always do. Is that I'm not threatening him, I'm not menacing him. Please say hello to him and give him the biggest of hugs. I do miss Pedro a lot. We're talking about a common friend, by the way. And also a very nice divulgador. Pedro is a person that dedicates his work and efforts to the general public's communication of the Roman Empire. And he is the only person focused on Romanism that I do respect and love, truly. And now that would come as a shock, but I think you have to have one, I mean, I have Umberto for loving the Seleucs. I was going to say Seljuks again. I know the difference. But the word. Seleucidas. Seleukis. I don't know. It's just I think my brain is auto-correcting me. And it thinks, what you really want to say is Seljuks, because we love the Seljuks. I don't love the Seleucidas. They couldn't care less about them. But I have a person in my life that adores them. That is Umberto. You have to have around yourself at least a person, that's my limit, one person that loves something that you despise. Because the banter is fantastic, I'm not going to lie. Umberto likes that, and Pedro likes Roman Empire. Sariel likes Greek mythology. And I was going to say that Sariel likes Eskandar, but they're going to kill me. They don't like Eskandar, but I think Sariel's thing with Eskandar is the same as mine. The guy was not that bad. It's just the fan club around him, and we can love the Seljuks together in the future. Can we though, Umberto? Are you really ready to fight for that love? It's a tough one. And hay gente pato. To each their own. See, that is gente pato. Literally translates as people for everything, which in English we say to each their own. And I'm quite content about that. Okay, back to Enheduanna and her situation in the city of Ur. You might have heard of Enheduanna addressed as the first, or perhaps the earliest, known author in history, since multiple works written in Sumerian that we preserve point towards her as the author. Among them, we have, for instance, the exaltation of Inanna, which we will talking about further today, where she features the first person narrator. She features as the first person narrator, and then all the works are the Sumerian temple hymns written for Nanna, the moon god. Given how... Alright, there is other side to this story, and I'm going to tell you. Given how potent, strong is the affirmation of Enheduanna being the first known author, and adding the fact that she's a woman, of course, the matter is not without debate. Modern Assyriologists discuss currently whether she wrote or not all the texts she is attributed based on linguistic and archaeological data. This is not just people being whimsical about it. This is people that really has done the research, and there's solid arguments in their favor, especially if we look at the philology of it, at the linguists of it. And as a final detail for her introduction, I would say there's a manuscript of these hymns written in by the scribes during the first Babylonian Empire, during the second millennia before Common Era, and that occurred 600 years after Enheduanna was alive. The hypothesis to how that was possible is that the scribes attributed the works to her following a legendary narrative of the legacy of Sargon and its influence in Babylonian traditions, which I consider to be incredibly interesting for the formation of folklore and the composition of self-consciousness in literature. It's incredible that someone left such an imprint in history that you to how do I say this, for you to legitimize a piece of work, a piece of literature, you would attribute it to a mid-historic, mythological character that existed prior to you, whose legacy is so potently embedded in your own culture that you don't dare say this is your own work, but theirs. And by that, you're making your piece of work respectful and legitimate from the very beginning. Are you following me in this incredible, verbosely posted information? Because the cultural consequences of that. Anyway, for today's stream, however, we will be giving Enheduanna the benefit of the doubt and consider that she was indeed author to these multiple hymns. I do believe so myself. I do believe Enheduanna existed, and I do believe Enheduanna wrote everything she is attributed to have written. However, I cannot simply walk past these academic doubts and not tell you, because part of my job, the most important part perhaps, is to assist you developing your own critical thinking regarding anything I tell you. I feel the information is incomplete and that I am not trustworthy, let alone a good divulgadora, if I don't show you both sides of the spectrum, if I don't cover the doubts regarding the figure of Enheduanna that actually exist. Because you are free to think whatever you want to think. You might have heard this and said, looks convenient, I don't think Enheduanna was real, or sounds convincing enough, I think Enheduanna was real. That is for you to digest and consider. Why is that, Uloko, the same internet ploy of attributing a random quote to Voltaire? Kind of, yes. It would be, even though attributing a random quote to Voltaire is much more like a meme to it, or maybe like, not Voltaire, but Paulo Coelho, which is the meme, or... It would be the same, exactly the same intention, the same cultural intention would be hidden behind these fake quotes, because you want to validate your own discourse and validate your own ideas, but you don't dare say that they're yours because no one knows you, not even your mum. Who's going to validate that thought if you're not famous, or at least you don't come from a lineage of famous writers? Therefore, you attribute what you're thinking, what you're truly thinking and producing to someone else. Enheduanna, Voltaire, Paulo Coelho. I was going to say a very nuanced Spanish thing, but maybe next week. And don't believe everything you read on the internet. And signed, Voltaire, exactly, Uloko. But that the intention is the same one. Even though now we have these comical relief side to it, I've seen this done seriously. Happens with Rumi a lot. If you go on Pinterest and you type Sufism, everything ever said in the world, everything is by Maulana. Don't get me wrong, I am the first manly Stanley that loves Maulana. Rumi was my first thing in the world of Sufism. He was many of my first things were Rumi. But I know he didn't write everything. Perhaps now Pinterest has swifted towards more Shirazi, Saadi Shirazi. I want to think, but does anybody do it with Ferdowsi? Nay. Nah. Ferdows is good in the hood with his Shahnameh. So, I didn't know that one, Segismundo. You see, you teach me a lot. You butcher teach me a lot because I didn't know that one. So now go back to Enheduanna for a moment and okay. Allow me now to smack history in the lips and crack my knuckles because this is about to get bumpy. I don't have many images for today. I'm going to be rotating between the ones you already know because this is not an image-based stream. Is that from The Office? I didn't remember. When is it? When they go all together to, what's the name of the place? Gadbury, somewhere like that, something along those lines. I've watched The Office many times. I didn't remember that. Interesting. So yeah, I don't have many images because this is not an art-based stream. Rather, it's much more like a listening, reading type of stream. And but yeah. Let's dive into the otherness. Oh, Captain, I love that one. We didn't start the fire at Persepolis. It was always burning since the world beginning. I didn't start the Persepolis fire, would Iskandar say. Oh my god, Iskandar. Es que están todas las sopas. Siempre lo tengo que nombrar al pesado de las narices. Sorry. Okay. Allow me to take you in. Otherness. Otherness, in the words of the scholar Jean-François Stazac, which I hope I pronounced the surname right, I'm sorry, is the result of a discursive process by which a dominant group, us, the self, constructs one or many dominated out groups, them, the other, by stigmatizing a difference that could be real or imagined, presented as a negation of identity and thus a motive for potential discrimination. Only with these sentences we could be speaking for hours, but I'll make my best effort not to digress, porque la madre que me parió, do I not thoroughly enjoy speaking about Orientalism, otherness in art and literature. And I'm taking my shot. Thank you, Pichu, for not reminding me. I know what I should do. Cheers. There exist two kinds of others that are relevant to Enheduanna, according to Roberta Binkley. And the geographical otherness and the gendered Otherness. In her article, she uses these both arguments to reivindicate the importance of other cultures in the development of rhetoric. I feel mainly dominated by what was preserved in Hellas, aka ancient Greece, and their contributions. Why am I avoiding to say Greece or ancient Greece? Because Greece is the name of a modern country, and we have Hellas as the ancient name. Is this me trying to be a poser? Potentially, yes, but I just don't want to, it's not ancient Greece. It's ancient Peloponnesian thing. Hello, Patricia. How are you? And this is Plumas. Welcome to the channel. We're talking about Enheduanna. Greece in Greek is Hellas. Gowan! I thought I had it. I was trying to be exact, precise. Never mind. I like saying Hellas. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, there's a little bit of Spanish in my English discourse. Bear with. Spare me a thought. Okay, so as I was saying, the field of rhetorics is mainly phagocytated. I don't know if that's a word, but it's mainly, dominated by what ancient Greece provided with. While Hellesphere, I like that. Well, actually, as we discussed in the Babylonian horoscope stream, do you remember that one? Ancient cultures and civilizations were much more entwined than we figured out at first. And I'm gonna stop myself right there, because if I let me wild mouth go, we will spend the whole evening speaking about Orientalism, mustached gentlemen from the 19th century, and why, oh God, why Hellas was considered to be the epitome of civilization, quote unquote, and nobody wants that. Oh yeah. Cheers. Oh wait. Actually, hold on. I do want that. Let's discuss the geographical other. And on that note, I love Yunanistan. Umberto, you're a genius. Sei bravo tu. Yunanistan. I love it. I must say it. I'm embracing it right now. If you would allow me to use it, of course, because that's your own original creation. So yeah, we're going to talk now about the geographical of that. And I reckon for this one, we could use a map, couldn't we? The good old days in which Streamlabs actually worked. Yeah, that will do. All right, let's put, because I know myself and I know you. Let's put the main idea out first, please, for clarity. Hellas, Yunanistan, did not come up with a high refined culture overnight, and definitely not by themselves. The influence of the Near Eastern civilizations is not only notable, but pivotal, fundamental, and given that it has been 20 years since the publication of this chapter by Benkley, I think we should know better. And we do. Actually, no. I'm going to be serious for just a wee second. We do. I promise. For once, I have high spirits regarding the evolution of academia. Unfortunately, these advances rarely make it to the general public, and that's why I decided to discuss them on the stream. But I am a positive one. I do love what the future of academia is looking like, because there's so many young promises making changes, and perhaps we will last a wee bit in seeing them, but they're there. I can assure you. Trust me with this one. So the Fertile Crescent falls under the. Can you see? But Chuck, can you see the screen just right? Can you see the map? Nowadays, as Pichu, anything is considered a refined culture. They did have a refined culture, come on. Yunanistan, the Yunani were very interesting culture-wise. They were. It's just, personally, I prefer something else, but they truly were a cultural phenomenon that impact greatly not only their neighbors, but the whole world. Interesting from afar. So the Fertile Crescent falls, I think I'm going to put up, sorry for the interruption, I'm going to put up the other one. What's that, Eric? The word refinate is a tricky one. Same as barbaric, unless it's in a D&D context. I think we ought to bring everything into a D&D context, because remember, Eric, that we are going to sit together and create the D&D character sheet for Enheduanna, and Satan knows of who anybody else. So here we have the Fertile Crescent, and it falls under the synecdoche of the Orient with capital letter, and not just any Orient with capital letter. The hostile, menacing Orient. This idea of the Orient is embedded in the racial otherness, focusing on how different the East is to the West, especially if we attend to the subjects of religion, language, and, stay with me, civilization. You see, I'm quoting civilization. Enheduanna, unfortunately, belongs to this category of otherness, which means whatever was she accomplished is not esteemed as relevant, or if valued, it's remarked as an isolated exception. And we don't know that for sure. We don't know if she was indeed an exception, because there's so much knowledge that's lost. To cite Binkley herself, her position, and I start quoting, her position and voice at the beginning of literacy are not only intellectually suspect because of a 3,000-year priority, with Yunanistan, she means, but also as a part of a geographical hostile Orient. End of quote. To summarize it, somehow it stings to some people, to some signores de mustacho. It really burns that rhetoric and sense of self in literature was already developed by a woman in the Fertile Crescent in the 3rd millennium before Common Era, before Yunanistan did it. It aches, it itches, but we ought to realize to what extent this otherness is fake and created under a specific agenda. Ancient cultures were interconnected, and for that we have facts. Enheduanna's father domain, Sargon, reached thus the eastern Mediterranean to the Persian Gulf, and Assyrian trading colonies spread through the White Sea and Anatolia. There is a constant flux of cultural influence coming and going, even if we don't see that firsthand. Because I acknowledge how we tend to encapsulate cultures and civilizations, because we need to do that. We need to compartment things in order to study them, because if not, our brains would explode. I acknowledge that. But also, that's the reason why I advise, one of the reasons why I advise having a map, because when you see this, you can really start comprehending what these relations looked like. Because let's be honest, people enjoyed being alive, and they were not spending each waking second of their lives fighting, murdering each other. No. Today, not all of us do that. We have normal lives. And today, with the exchange of culture we have via the internet, the phenomenon has multiplied and skyrocketed by, 3,025 million. But it's the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. You talk to people, you listen to other people, you consume certain content, certain products. I am talking fashion, food, music, and it travels and it permeates and it constructs something else. Just Umberto and Sariel pointed this out when talking about how the Persian, the Sasanian rock reliefs are so similar to the Romans. That is not cultural appropriation. It's not copycatting. It's not contamination. It's cultural influence. Because you have it in you. Sometimes you're not even conscious about it. Perhaps you're not aware that is happening, but it is happening. And the same occurred in here, in the Fertile Crescent. And all this knowledge, we know for certain it traveled overseas and went to Yunanistan. And Yunanistan gave back to these areas. I mean, Yunanistan influenced the Parthian art so much, the costumes, the culture of metalworking and the mythical figures, that so much so in bloody Persepolis we have a griffin and a sphinx. How do you think those reach there? What is that, Segismundo? I love me a Signor de Mustachio coming to 19th century Spain looking for Orientalism and writing in his diary about how he notices it right away. Yeah, definitely. It's like, dude, you're in Irún, Guipúzcoa. Wait till you're in the Alhambra, at least. Have a bit of shame. There was no shame. The Señores de Mustachio from the 19th century knew no shame. And I said Orientalism. Shot. I'm sorry if I'm coming up a little bit aggressive. It's not aggressiveness. It's passion. Utter passion. But I am violently passionate because I am, I don't know, Spanish? Yeah, I know you did. But I'm not going to read that again, though. I mean, I want my tea to last, and I am just midway. No, I was like, oh my God, esto es muy largo. Okay, so, by the way, I mentioned the White Sea. Do you know which one is the White Sea? Can someone tell me? Do you know? Because if you do, I'm going to be so happy. No, I didn't say, uy. I was about to read Pichu's comment. I refrained myself to do so. I am such a big girl. So proud of me. And does someone know what is the White Sea? Okay, and I'll tell you. The White Sea is the Mediterranean Sea, by the way. That is its name in Arabic. And I wanted you to know. Because it's beautiful. Okay, speaking of language, Akkadian was the lingua franca over much of the ancient world in the second millennium, based on the remarkably durable written tradition of cuneiform, with a continuous schooling tradition traced back to the third millennium. And we, as we say here often, language is a vehicle of culture. And in addition to the language, we have the importance given in the Fertile Crescent to the physicality of the written word, meaning that the capability of touching the text and to the physicality of it. I don't know why I'm over explaining this. I think it's just it's very clear. And Segismundo, I don't allow the use of caps so much because I have a very bad history of people coming at my stream to shout things at me that are not nice to hear. And this is my house, and this is my mountain, and this I don't come here to be shouted at. I know you probably were not shouting, I know, but yes, but I took my one already. Yes, and Segismundo, you were right. It is the Mare Nostrum. It is the Mediterranean. And that's all about the caps. And I was talking about the physicality of the text, as it is touchable. And this admired craft, the craft of producing a written text, was not exclusive to men, but to some women who also ventured in the path of the written word. Here is why we have Enheduanna. And if her female identity was not enough, we encounter that she, as a woman, speaks to another female, the goddess Inanna. So, Bocha, let us now address the gendered otherness. I'm really hoping that I'm explaining myself. You guys, you, my Bocha, are following me in this journey, hopefully. But I think I'm making, the points I wanted to cover clear. Maybe I'm not, and I am just content to be here. But, could be. All right, so the gendered order. One thing that must be clear from the beginning, Bacha, is that Akkadian and Sumerian do not have the conception of gender extracted from the Platonic conception of identity, which is the ones we have. The scholar Zaiban Bahrani elaborates how, from a Western academic perspective, we tend to carry the conceptions of identity, self-awareness, and body image from the Hellenistic point of view, Platonism to be precise. And modern day conceptions regarding women in the Orient tend to make it difficult, occasionally, to think about women from the Fertile Crescent under a different light, especially since we learn about Mesopotamia mostly through the eyes of their neighbors in Yunanistan. What is that? Enheduanna, says Umberto, passes the Bechdel test. I don't know what that is. Does that make me uneducated? The reverse Bechdel test asks whether a work fetus men who talk to men about something other than a woman. ¿Cómo? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't know this. So something about gender. Something, gender. Right, yeah. Is a test to measure the representation of women in film and other fiction. The test asks whether a work features at least two female characters who have a conversation about something other than a man. Okay, in some iterations, the requirement that the two female characters have names is added. Wow, that is intense. I really like this. I'm going to leave that one open because I'm definitely going to read about that sometime later tonight. But yeah, we were talking about Platonism and how where is Yunanistan? Yunanistan is the name that dear Umberto just gave to ancient Greece, because Yunan is the area that, for the Achaemenids at least, was what we call ancient Greece, and Unani is the name, is the name of the locals, the Greeks. So now we are calling Hellas Yunanistan. It might not be historically accurate, but now you have a little bit piece of law, of this channel's law, which I steam too deep to step your toes into if this is the first time you come to my live streams. Pero hija, I just blanked. I didn't know how to continue it in English. Anyway, so yeah, I was saying that we learn about Mesopotamia mostly through the sources and the impressions of the Unani, the Greeks in Yunanistan. And yes, Herodotus, I'm looking at you and your tales about Babylonia and the slaves market. Azizam. The point is that Orientalism still lingers here, and the paradox between the civilized, quote unquote, Greeks and the other barbarians impedes that we see the full truth. Because it seems that the Platonic conceptions of gendered body, its materiality and its definition, do not fit well in the Mesopotamian field. And we know that through Enheduanna, who tells her process of writing as being inspired by goddess Inanna, and I'm going to explain myself in a minute. Yeah. Cheers. I mentioned before that Sumerian has no grammatical gender, and this means that necessarily the Sumerians looked at the subject differently. than we do today. Following the thesis of Julia Asher-Greve, we learn that the human body to the Sumerians was a genderless creation, since humans were made before sex and gender were invented. It was only later in mythology, via the character Atrahasis, that genders separate to allow procreation to occur. But there is more than just the binary conception of male/female. For example, the fluid conception of castrated men. I really hope that I'm explaining myself. The idea of the Sumerian language as genderless brings another interesting discussion into the conversation, which is the concept of intelligence. In the Western perspective, mind and body are separated, and we consider often the intellect belonging solely to the brain, separated the rest of the body. Often, this reasoning is a higher step on a ladder that we ought to climb and fulfill, meaning being rational is what we are supposed to be as fully developed conscious humans. However, the body pulls us in a completely different direction, and we cave in before pleasures and commodities. Therefore, we never achieve our true self. That doesn't click well in the Sumerian and Akkadian conception of the self, because the Sumerian word for intelligence is geshtu. It's written using the sign of the ear, and this means the faculties of intellect are acquired while listening, meaning using a part of the body. Enheduanna transmits this sentiment of being inspired by goddess Inanna in such depth, that she says, and I quote, she gave birth to the song, but not her mind, not her heart, herself as a whole, in fusion with the deity. Which brings me to another topic, and the final one, because there's another other, redundantly, which is the sacred other. What is that, Humberto? I love a stream on the role of eunuchs in the ancient Near East. That is a very slippery slope, because I would love to make that, but that will take a lot of research, because that is a topic I know nothing about, and I don't want to tread lightly on it. Just like, hey, it's an important one. So, but yeah, are you holding up good? Am I explaining? I am so worried. I am nervous in a positive way, because I am transmitting you something I'm quite passionate about. But yet, I am fearing I'm not making much sense of myself. Are you guys okay? Is the Mesopotamia too much turra? Is the Mesopotamia too intense? Or convoluted? Are my ideas in order? So people are people regardless of their gender, asks Pichu. When is this known in Yunanistan? They're going to be piqueting. Piqueting, another verb. When you are piqueting, you are making more or less this face. That means you are flabbergasted, shocked. That is your piqueting. This is a piqueting situation, like a shocking, revolving, stomachly shocking situation. Piqueting. My God. So yeah, we want to talk about the sacred other. The works of Enheduanna are dedicated to the deities, but the one that stands out are the hymns for the goddess Inanna. She is, the goddess, described as frightening, her power impressive, her beauty overwhelming, almost in a physical manner, her power of procreation fundamental. And both are women. The language the construction of the poem and the literary tradition in which Enheduanna is inserted speak to us about a long and deeply rooted tradition of sacred importance and relevance of femininity and feminine goddesses, and by assimilation of importance and relevance of women overall. The fact that Enheduanna holds the position she does and dedicates her verses to Inanna reveals on the eye of the experts an eventually lost position of perhaps not equality. Equality is a strong word. Equality is like, that is too valiant of a word to use, but a certain status held by the women of the higher circles of society, and that vision of the she other was changed over time and still persists in certain areas and projects over the studies of the ancient world. We have traces of the relevance of women in the ancient Near East, though they still there. If basically to summarize it, I'm being quite verbose in here. If they exist in literature, if they are there, that means they were at some point. They existed at some point, and the literary tradition just carried them away. They continued they persisted in the literature because once they were of importance. I mean, if Enheduanna had the possibility to write everything she wrote, was because she was allowed to. I know she's a princess, but she had the liberty to write, to express herself, to say what she wanted and she felt in her heart. And that's why I was saying that perhaps not for all women, but definitely the higher circles of society, the noble, if you may, women were of relevance at the time. And I'm going to give you literature examples. In the adventures of ours truly, the stupid Gilgamesh and his magnificent epic, we have them. Ninsun, Gilga's mom, represents the wisdom and the divination through dreams, the power of omen sight. And we have also Shamhat, a prostitute that civilizes Enkidu and transforms him from a beast to a human capable of appreciating art, culture, and devotion towards the deities. Because back in the time of Sargon and Enheduanna, being capable, being able to praise the deities and to acknowledge the deities was considered of high relevance and education. If you were any fulano on the streets, you didn't know better. No one had taught you about the deities, but if you knew, and you knew them and respected them and prayed to them, that suggested intellect and higher education, because you've received it. You've been trained by someone that's much, much more prepared than you to fear the deities, to devote yourself to the deities and to respect them. A woman is the vehicle for civilization in the Epic of Gilgamesh. They don't send a deity. They don't send a minister of a deity. They send a woman, a prostitute. And she changes Enkidu. And you know Enkidu, he's an animal. He's a brute. And she does that. Why? Because she is the vehicle for civilization. However, much of this is lost when discourses are constructed from the point of view of the others. In this case, Yunanistan, Greece, and Rome afterwards. I am not implying, I'm not implying that Yunanistan and Rome are terrible and should be condemned. No, they are fantastic. They're interesting, in their own particular way. And we owe so much to what we consider the classic world. We do. And I value that. However, what I wanted with this stream was to make you think about how many things that we are told that were known and coined as traditional could have been depicted differently. regarding the eyes beholding. And Enheduanna does not fit in the standard of the time because we are judging her from a Western-rooted academic tradition. What if she was not the only one? What if we believe her and other women an exception when they were not? And it's just that we have lost the sources to point at them, to recognize them, because you can read it about a lot of women of the nobility or owning their own businesses and going about their lives quite independently, I dare say, in the ancient Fertile Crescent. What if we are tainted, our vision is covered and stained by the perception of the other that is really strongly trying us to convince that we, the us, are the good ones and the other ones were the barbaric ones? What if we ought to open our eyes to other cultures and other forms of interpreting the world, the literature, the society, and so on? What if? What if Enheduanna is not an exception? What if the content and the depth of Enheduanna's work is actually pointing out not only to a super high level of education reached by the Akkadian society and the Sumerian clerical circles, but to a wider amount of people that had access to that, regardless of their gender? What if? Just food for thought. We really need to rethink how we construct not only our history, but also our tools to reconstruct history. And that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. I really hope I have not been as convoluted and confusing as I fear I have. But I dedicated a lot of time to this script, so hopefully you guys are still there and your brain is not sliding and melting down your ear and neck, now reaching the belly button. So yeah, that's all. Yes, Sulako, you're right. The present always interferes with the study of the past. Oh, Segismundo, sorry, I didn't read you. You taught a bunch of Geras what picueto means? Yes, I did. I mean, I attempted to. Oh, you're doing the Lord's work over there. Thank you. I think, language is the vehicle of culture. I think I am giving these little pearls of Spanish cultural knowledge to the people listening. Maybe they don't know what they're listening to, but hey, it's out in the world for them to hear. And Enki, let me just tone you down a wee bit. Thank you, my dear. And Lil, you too. And that's much better. And yeah, that was it. That's everything for today's stream. And I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you're my patron and you're in Discord, you have the book already up in the patron section. But if you are interested in the book, I repeat the title, Rhetoric, Beyond how, sorry, I'm going to read it actually. Rhetoric Before and Beyond the Greeks. If you're interested in the book, you can write an old trusty email to me at lasplumasdesimur@gmail.com. If you want it, I can send it to you. No problem at all. And if you're my patron, again, it's on Discord. So yes, Umberto, you already have the book. And thank you so much for accompanying me today. I am very happy with this stream. I really liked it, and I think that it was nuanced enough, which is something I really wanted. And hopefully we've discussed some topics that are not commonly brought upon when approaching the figure of Enheduanna from a much more general perspective. If you want to learn more about Enheduanna, there's multiple videos out there. There's a crash course video that is highly educational about Enheduanna, and you can find multiple formats in which you can know about her life. And that's that's actually it. Thank you, Umberto. I'm really happy that you have enjoyed it. I certainly have. I've had a great time speaking so passionately about something that I love. That is always a good exercise to make. And but yeah, it is the time. Thank you, Eric. Oh, you're so cute. It is the time now for us to part our ways. But if you're interested in keeping in touch, you can join the Discord server. There's a Telegram channel that I use for posting the announcers and information. So yeah, the links are there. And also, if you want to support the project, you most certainly can do that, because I have a Patreon page. So if you want to contribute with anything, even like the little amount of €2 per month, you feel more than welcome to do so. That helps me a lot, I have to say. So that said, allow us to play our favorite closing song, which is Fly Me to the Moon, because yes, in case you're new here and didn't know, all my live streams are a tribute of the sorts to Neon Genesis Evangelion, because we start with Corinial Thesis and we finish with Fly Me to the Moon, because Evangelion is my favorite anime of all time. That says very little about that speaks poorly about me, but it is. And I know, Serapis, thank you for fighting the good fight with me. I know I'm not alone in this terrible world of trauma caused by mechas and angels. So yeah, thank you so much. Fly me to the Nana. Oh, I love that. Oh my god, that is so sweet. Do you? I have the one. I have the 01 figurine. We have to send ourselves pictures of our Evangelion figurines. And but yeah, thank you so much for your company and for your input and for your enthusiasm. It's been a pleasure seeing you all here. We are meeting soon to keep on reading the Book of Kings, because we are. March is going to be a bit of a complicated month because work. Basically, I travel for my work and I'm not going to be available, but I will keep you posted. Don't worry. If you are in the Telegram channel, you will know about it, and you are in Discord, you will know about it, and you have my Patreon, you already know about it. So yeah, thank you so much for your company. But do not forget to continue creating, exploring, and having tons of fun. And until we see each other next time, I bid you Jodafes!